This is sad. The body of a 22-year-old transgender woman was found dead in the streets of Johannesburg after it was said she was shot 9 times by a strange man she may have met at a nightclub. The young trans woman was said to be named Clement Hadebe. Although sources report her to be 22 years old, other sources claim she was 29. Clement was said to have lived with her boyfriend, a young man named Malvern. She was also a known forex trader who worked from home and aspired to be a model. However, on the morning, the 10th of August 2024, the beautiful dreams of Clement would come to an end after she was shot 9 times at close range by a man who she may or may not have known. Now, according to the story from what we are hearing, the first report claimed that Clement had gone out to a bar with her friends to have drinks. While they were at this bar, this beer parlor, a group of men at another side of the bar picked interest in the girls there. It's possible that some of Clement's friends were also transgender women and also cisgender women. It's not stated, but it was said or claimed that another group of men picked interest in this table filled with women, particularly, and they began buying drinks for these women, buying food and paying for their orders. This is one of those things we see commonly happen in a bar where a man takes interest in a group of girls at a table sitting by themselves with no other guy, and they offer to buy drinks for them. And I think this was what was happening here according to the first report. And eventually, these men picked interest in Clement, thinking she was a woman, not knowing that she was a transgendered woman. It wasn't an issue when they were buying the drinks for them because, it was just a kind gesture. And besides, there were other people on the table with Clement, so it wasn't specific on who they were buying it for. Although sources claim that by the end of the night, one of the men approached them and they requested to speak with Clement, who they found the most attractive, and asked that, she spends the night with them. Now, sources are saying that one of Clement's friend calls her outside and tells her that, see, before you go out with this man, let him know first that you are a transgender woman, that you're not a cisgender woman, so that they don't get disappointed and they don't go all homophobic on you. And from what we heard, Clement responded with, she doesn't have to tell the man, that the man clearly likes her, that there's a chance that the man knows who she is. And, it just made it look like Clement did not disclose of her true gender identity to this man, and eventually follows the man home only to end up being found dead in the streets of Johannesburg after being shot 9 times, believably, by this man who took her home. This was the narrative going around the internet. This is what a lot of people are saying. This is what a lot of people remember. And many people are even blaming it on her, saying that she caused her own death for not disclosing her gender identity to the man who bought her drinks and took her home. That would have saved her a life and maybe a lot of time. So a lot of people are speculating that maybe Clement had hidden her gender identity and had followed this man home only for them to get home and take off the clothes, and they find out that she is actually a guy. Kind of like the case of the area mama of Abuja, whose story we've covered multiple times here and whose death is still something the police is investigating. There is a line of people who are emerging, and they are women, female passing for the most part, and most of the times many men approach them thinking that these are real women. However, for some of them who disclose that they are transgender women, they end up only maybe getting rejected. For those who hide it, knowing fully well when they follow a straight man home and eventually take off their clothes, what is hidden in the dark would come out in the light, pretty much. But here's the thing. After that narrative of what happened to Clement in the first instance began to spread, a friend of Clement who was there at the table when the said drinks were being purchased by said men came out and told the world that that was not what happened, claiming that nobody bought drinks for them. That in fact, they had earlier made their way to the club or to the bar when they had an issue with a taxi driver and it cost one of them an injury. So they had to take one of their friends to the hospital that night on their way to the club. While they were at the hospital, they waited for the friend to get treated, and eventually Clement and a few others left the hospital and went to the club themselves to chill and maybe wait for the other friends who were at the hospital to come join them. And that was where they were. According to this friend who was giving the true story, he said that, or she said that, they didn't even dance, that they weren't as hyped as they usually used to be at the club, that they just sat down for a very long time, chatted, talked, and drank, and that no man picked interest in any of them. Nobody came to buy drinks over for them. It wasn't something that happened. This friend is saying that they didn't see anybody come to approach anyone on the table. That in fact, after they had finished drinking and they had finished having a good time, and they got tired around 4 a.m., Clement said that she was going to go home, and she left the club and the bar on foot, heading home, specifically at that hour of the night. This said friend claimed that it did not take long that Clement left before she got a phone call from people telling her that Clement had been shot, that she should come down to a particular street. And this friend said that was when he or she ran to the scene where Clement had been shot. And that was where they saw Clement lying in her pool of blood, and it turned out that somebody had fired at her a gun 9 good times. Nobody saw who the man was. Clement did not leave the club with a man. In fact, it was the same moment that Clement left the club, a few hours later, that she was killed. It's not as though she went to spend the night with somebody and they killed her over the night. That is not the situation. This friend said that a few minutes after Clement left the table to go home, that was when somebody most likely followed her out of the club, shot and killed her. Eventually, her boyfriend was called and the police were called, and the whole scene was chaotic, and Clement had lost a lot of blood and had lost his life. Now, this incident happened on the 10th of August 2024, and since then the police have been trying to investigate, but they don't have any suspect or anyone with a motive. And that is why I believe she most likely did not follow anyone home. If that narrative was true, by now the police would have gone through the CCTV footage and they've seen who she may have gone home with. And that would have been easier for them to find the killer. So it is possible, and as still according to the said friend telling the real story, that somebody may have followed her from the club knowing that she was trans and shot and killed her. But I don't believe that narrative. I don't believe so. For me, seeing the nature of this crime, I want to believe the person who killed her knows who she is, in my opinion. Because if the person shot 9 bullets at one person, 9 bullets is an overkill. 9 bullets is an overkill. You want to kill a transgender, it's not 9 bullets. You're so homophobic to the part that you hate gays. 9 bullets, well, I can see why somebody can be that hateful, but 9 bullets it's too much. Yeah, we get it, you're a hateful bastard, but 9 bullets? Now, it's personal. And if the person was so transphobic that they are killing Clement because Clement is a trans, Clement had other friends who were also trans. Why didn't the person, distribute the bullets? It would have made more sense that this person was a homophobic, transphobic person to go around shooting Clement 9 times, that they would also go around looking for other trans people to shoot and kill. And for the person to shoot him 9 times, they have to know that he's trans. This was the dead of the night, and it was most likely dark. So how for you to spot him, it's weird. Could it have also been a robbery gone wrong? That also could be the case, but according to the friend, her valuables were still with her. A bank card was still in her possession. So whoever killed her did not steal anything. So which meant that this was some kind of assassination. But what could have been the reason? Clearly, there is still that possibility it may have been some sort of homophobic attack. Since she already has a boyfriend, I would not assume she was a girl who sleeps around with men for money. She wasn't that type of area mama of Abuja situation. She seemed to just have gone to the club to have fun with her friends, and she was going home to her partner. So this wasn't a runs girl that I would say, okay, maybe she slept with a client who is hateful, or maybe she went out with a guy and the guy found out she has penis and they killed her. It's not the case. So this is quite a unique situation, which I think, me personally, I would assume since they said she was going on foot, she didn't book a ride. I would guess, because let's face it, South African rides these days, would have been booking fake ride. I don't know if that played a role in why she did not book a ride. I'm sure there are taxis there that she could have taken, but I'm assuming she was on her way going to where she was going, and then unfortunately somebody tried to rob her and they find out she's trans, and in that moment killed her. I think that could have been the most likely scenario. And when they said it was a robbery, the friend claimed her bank card was still with her, but we don't know if her mobile phone was still there. We don't know if she had cash that could have been stolen. Bank card is not something you can steal. I don't know how South African credit card or debit card work, But over here, you stealing someone's ATM card, you still need to know the PIN for the most part. And you still need to be able to get some kind of OTP or something. Like it's difficult to, it's not something that people go after. Nobody robs you on the road for your ATM card unless they want you or force you to go and withdraw money, in which case they would need you alive for, and they wouldn't want to shoot you 9 bullets. So adding the 9 bullets and adding the fact that, you know, our card was the only thing mentioned that did not get taken, I believe that it could have been a robbery gone wrong or a robbery turned homophobic attack. Because me looking at her, she may pass as a woman, but when you start maybe communicating with her, trying to rob her, and she starts speaking, she may expose herself from then on, and people who are trying to rob her will see that, this is a trans woman, and that could spark a new kind of hatred. And I think that is most likely what may have happened, in my opinion. But 9 bullets is a whole stretch. It's a whole stretch. If this was in any case not something as complex as the LGBTQ community, let's say Clement was a cisgender woman, was an actual woman, and she was shot 9 times, then we would know that it got to be some kind of ex-boyfriend, some kind of sugar daddy that does not want her to expose a secret. This is where we now got to cloud that, okay, there's something more to it, because 9 times is an overkill. This is something the wife of a rich man would do to the side chick, in my opinion. But Clement was not a cisgender woman. She did not fit the bill of what we would think this would have been the reason why she would have been killed that way. She was not known to sleep with men for money. She was not a prostitute. She works on Forex. Wait, Forex. I don't know if they've checked that line, because I don't know how South Africa is, but Forex trading is another thing that we know that we've talked about on this channel, where people have been killed for it. So brutally, for that matter. So if she does Forex, is it possible she had dealt with somebody and this was some kind of financial situation? Is that a possibility? Is that? I don't know. Was there money involved? I feel like you should check her account to see if, or check her Forex account to see if how much money is there, and know who else have access to it and who would want her dead so they could keep all the money. Because let's not forget, with this LGBT community, we've talked about the Kenyan story about the boy who killed his boyfriend after he received millions from grants. And now we're seeing that Clement had a boyfriend who they said was sleeping, and they called him to the scene. And since Clement was using his leg to trek home, is there a possibility his house is not very far from the bar, which could give enough time to the boyfriend to do the killing, go back home, sleep, and then come back to the scene and pretend to cry? I am just trying my best here, because if this is not a homophobic attack, this is not a transphobic attack, because for it to be a transphobic attack, somebody should have been taking her home, and since the friend is saying nobody took her home, she was going by herself, I don't think anybody followed her from the bar to go and shoot her 9 times. It doesn't make sense at all that there's a man at the bar who saw her carried gun to go and kill her 9. Ooh, were you holding a gun looking for a transgender? And even if that was the case, they would want to kill more if you're so homophobic that you have gun that has 9 bullets, you wouldn't want to waste it on one person. You would kill more. So I don't think that was the case. I don't think so. I don't want to blame the boyfriend, but I feel like the police should look into it. Check the Forex account, because I know a little bit about Forex. Check how much she has made, or how much is there, or how much she will make. Check her bank account. And then also check who else have access to this money. If there is any money that is big enough, who else have access? If the boyfriend does have access to it, then that is a motive. That is a motive. That is a reason why he would want to do it. And again, like I said, somebody might ask, why would the boyfriend from far away come over to do it? Remember, Clement was using feet to go home. He was trekking home. They used car to come home, but he offered to use leg. He offered to walk home. According to what we heard, he was walking home. And for him to want to walk home, I want to assume that the house wasn't that far. The house he shared with his boyfriend wasn't that far, which could give enough time to the boyfriend to be at the corner holding a gun, waiting for him to walk home, knowing where she would pass, and then shoot her 9 times to make it look like an homophobic attack. because 9 times does look like an homophobic attack, looks like a hateful, spiteful attack. Once or twice would have easily suspected, but 9 times is an overkill. Shows that whoever shot you is angry and spiteful, and then throws the gun away maybe, then goes home, then gets a call, and then comes back and acts up. It's just my opinion. I just feel like you should check it. If there is no money, then maybe the boyfriend is as innocent, because this is not the time to overlook. Everybody should be looked into. If his siblings is the one that have access to it, then they should check. If it's his father that have access to his money or his account, the person should be investigated. Since she's doing well financially, they should check anybody who may also have access to her money, or who may have taken insurance on her, and check all these things. These are ways you can easily find someone's killer, especially in a situation like this that is so random and unprovoked that we can't easily tell. If it's an homophobic attack, I would assume, again, like we said, she went home with somebody, which was in the first story, which made sense. But that was not the case. The friend who was there said that nobody bought them drinks, no man chased her, no man asked her out, nobody escorted her home. They sat there, they didn't even dance to show themselves. They just sat there, chatted, drank, and she opted to trek home. Got shot on the way 9 times. So there is no specific reason to indicate in the true story that this was some kind of homophobic or transphobic attack. Put in mind that South Africa is one of the countries in Africa, if not the only, that legalizes the LGBT community. So, and they've been doing it since the 90s. So I'm sure over time, many of them they're over it. Even Nigerians self, in as much as we are homophobic, we're tired, we're bored. What else is new? So I don't see any Nigerian carrying a gun to shoot a cross-dresser 9 times. I don't see it. Maybe a little bit of, taking money, robbery, beating here and there, which is bad, but shooting somebody 9 times? Even Area Mama of Abuja wasn't shot 9 times. And we suspected that for his own case, it was most likely somebody he knew he was close to, that he was comfortable with. And which I think has been the case for a lot of LGBTQ deaths in countries in Africa, or from the ones we've covered. The one we did in Kenya ended up being the boyfriend. The one we're talking about, the one we've done, the few stories we've done in Nigeria, ended up being people that these LGBT people go to meet, apart from the other one that was an accident. Even the Area Mama of Abuja own, we suspect it's somebody close to her, even though it's not, we don't know the truth on that part yet. So this one, I don't think is any different. It could be somebody she knows, somebody close to her, somebody who has something to gain from her death. And at the same time too, I'm not oblivious to the fact that it could be an homophobic attack, which I already said that maybe it's a robbery, they're trying to rob her, she fought back, she was speaking, she was walking alone at that time of the night. Obviously, she's bound to encounter street thugs who may want to harass her, and they find out that, when she starts speaking, she has a man voice, if that was the case, or they saw a bulge that turned out to look like a penis, and they assumed, and they immediately shot and killed her. Or maybe they were toasting her, or they were trying to rape her. Could also be one of the things. They were trying to probably rape her thinking this was an actual girl, and then they find penis and they shoot her and kill her. That could be an explanation. That could be one thing. That could be one way to look at it. And if that's the case, then it's unfortunate. However, if there is money in a bank account and somebody else have access to it, then, I think the police have their answer there. It's just unfortunate. This is really sad. I really hope justice is found for her, and justice is, made available for her and her family. And anyhow, guys, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notification button so whenever there's a new video, you'll be the first to get notified. Thank you for watching.